Because I know you were listening attentively. That was good.
Yeah. No, I think I'm still very basic in a learning level because I'm basically I watched your videos.
Oh,
and
good. You've already
know
watched them.
more
Good.
about it, but I don't think I have the knowledge that is enough to construct a question or.
Gotcha. But what do
yeah.
you? What's your name?
My name's Ryan.
Ryan.
Yeah.
Do you believe there is a God?
No, I don't have any religion right now.
Yeah. No, I don't care about if you have a religion. I'm saying in your heart, Ryan, do you think this world was created from nothing? It just evolved, or do you think there was a creator? Like, just what do you think?
I think I've heard your arguments
Yeah.
before, and
Yeah, just discussions.
yeah, and I think the thing to me is I don't really care
Right?
if there's a God or no.
Okay.
Like there might be, there might not be,
Yeah.
but I don't really bother about it.
But think about it, right? If there is a God, and you are supposed to be worshiping God, and then you die and find out that you were supposed to, wouldn't that kind of suck?
Like, if there's a God,
Right.
I'm not sure what I'm missing out on.
Okay.
If there's not.
Let me tell you, right? For example, if somebody asks you, Ryan, is abortion good or bad? What do you think?
I think based on my knowledge that I gained throughout my years and my experience,
Yeah.
to construct a framework of thinking that is what I believe is true.
No, abortion. What do you think? Is it good or bad?
I think it really depends on the context of the situation. Like if the
Right.
abortion is due to a rape or
No. What if the woman gets pregnant? She's like, I don't want to be pregnant. I want to abort it.
I think yes.
Really?
It's okay.
It's okay
But
to kill a baby?
I don't have really have a thought on it.
Well, exactly. So there's the point, right? That when you have the guidance from the Creator, then you know right from wrong. You don't have to come up with your own thought for everything, right? Because you might think, yes, it's okay. Somebody else might say, that's a human baby you're killing for no reason. You know, you're seeing an aborted fetus as like a baby, right? They may say that's wrong. So now this is the problem. Is it wrong or is it right? We don't know, right? So here, when we have divine guidance, we go back to that divine guidance, and now we know right from wrong. In your life, for example, right? What do you prioritize? Family, money, community, your own pleasure?
I think I prioritize. I think in general happiness.
Right?
I'd say.
But would you prioritize your happiness above your family's?
No.
So you would prioritize their happiness above your own? Like
I think their happiness is part of mine. So
right? But what if something makes you happy and they don't like it? Or something that makes them happy but then you're unhappy with it, right? So you see, in life, we need guidance. Otherwise, you know, like for example, why do you have a father and a mother to guide, right? Why is the natural system that a parent helps the child know right from wrong? Like, I mean, you're too young, but if you have a child and your child's going towards a fireplace, you go and you grab the child, you no, don't touch that, it's hot, right? It's not the child can't be like, I want to make my own decisions, you know, right? So that's how humanity is nowadays. Everybody thinks that they can make their own right and wrong. But the reality is that Allah, the Creator above, created us. We didn't come by ourselves. And He gives us guidance. And we need that guidance in our life. So if you had Islam in your life, you would have that guidance, you would have that structure. Let me just give you an example. And I'm going to be real, Ryan, right? Your name's Ryan? I'm going to be real blunt with you, like, because I like you, right? I see you as an honest person. Like me, myself, I was caught up in gangs, right? I was caught up in, my story is kind of crazy. You've seen some of the videos, I don't know if you've seen the story, right? At that time, I didn't understand right from wrong. I thought if I rob some rich drug dealer and kill him, so what? He's a drug dealer. I take that money and maybe I'll give a little bit to the poor. I'm a good guy, right? But obviously you realize killing people and robbing them is not right, right? But now when I came to Islam, then I got that guidance. No, instead of killing that drug dealer, maybe I'll go advise him. Maybe I'll try to get him to leave that life. But it's not okay to just kill and rob him and take his money, right? So now, as a society today, we've also divided, right? Yeah. Some people think abortion is a great thing, it's a woman's right. Even if she's 9 months pregnant, she can abort her baby. Some people say, no, as soon as she gets pregnant, she cannot, even if she was raped, right? Now you have the spectrum, right? So how will we know? Divine guidance. Otherwise, everybody has their own idea. Death penalty, is it good or bad? Immigration, is it good or bad? Everybody, if we don't have guidance, we're always just going to be fighting about it. When we have divine guidance, we say, okay, it's not about me and you. Our Creator knows us best. What do you do? Are you go to school?
I go to school, yes.
What are you studying?
Economics.
Economics, excellent, right? Now, when you look at economic models, right, you understand how economy works. You understand supply and demand. You understand the bull market and what do you call the other one? When bull goes up, what goes down? The bear market, right? I don't, right? I took some economic classes, but I don't, right? So now, if you come up with a new economic model of how to help the economy of a country, and you tell me, hey, I have this economic plan that's going to take every country out of recession and global economy is going to grow and it's going to be great. Now, would you then send explanation to how to implement it? Or would you just be like, here's the printout, go do whatever you want?
I think, yeah, I'll do explanation.
Of course, because you developed the plan, right? You know it best. I don't know economy. I wouldn't even know what you're talking about. So now our Creator is not going to leave us without guidance either. He's going to tell us, look, you may not know that you need it, but you need the guidance. You need to know whether you should drink alcohol or not, whether you should eat pork or not, whether you should kill or not, whether you should steal or not. Just like I was telling you about myself, I needed that guidance. So don't you think that would be something beneficial in your life, that structure and guidance from a Creator?
I think my first thought was from you is because you said we have fathers and mothers for our guidance.
Yes.
The thing is, I think what resembles is we see there are many bad parents.
Yeah, of course.
There is bad parenting, and I'm not sure that I can act because I'm an adult now, obviously.
You are.
If I can choose a parenting, if that is the right parenting, because we see there are different, like in religion, there are different parenting styles and different religions that people believe in.
Sure.
How do I know if this parenting style or this parent is good for my
Excellent.
guidance?
Perfect. Good question. So now, take it back to, you made a very good point, right? Not all parents are good parents. Not all religious beliefs are correct. So how do you choose the right one, right? But before we go there, let's take that step that, okay, we already agreed now that we do need guidance, right? We're good on that one, right? That we do need that divine guidance in our life. Now the question gets to be, which one is correct, right? Now,
I think before we're moving on to that part,
Okay.
I believe that if we accept a guidance,
Okay.
does it mean that because I read a lot of existentialism
Sure.
philosophy,
Good.
so does it make us like we don't have any thoughtful action to be responsible to?
no, of
Because-
course we do. And so this is why I'm saying let's get to which is the right method, because you will then see that in Islam we believe in responsibility. So let's talk about those parenting models or religions now, right?
Okay.
But I just don't want to go backwards. So we do agree that there is a need for it.
Okay.
Good, Ryan, you're making progress, all right? Now, in Christianity, the idea is that Jesus died for your sins, salvation is free, it's a gift, right? Meaning your deeds mean nothing, right? Jesus died, all your sins are on him, right? Deeds don't get you salvation, it's a grace, that's what they say, right? Does that make sense to you? That you as a person, as Ryan, are not held accountable for your deeds? That some other innocent person is killed and all of our murderers and rapists, all their sins are on them. And just because they accept Jesus, they get to heaven free of charge. That doesn't make sense, right? So that parenting model doesn't make sense. Good, right? Now, there is a parenting model of Hinduism, right? That believes that people die and come back as monkeys and as apes and they're reincarnated. And they worship things like rats and they worship monkeys, right? They have this belief in mythology being real that they still think is mythology, right? Like sometimes they'll tell you Krishna is a myth and then they'll tell you he's God, right? Then they'll say Ram is a myth and then they'll say he's God. Some say no, he's just a fabrication. Some say no, we worship him, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't make sense, right? Because either it's real or it's a myth, right? So that parenting model doesn't make sense, right? Then there's Judaism that believes there's a chosen people, that just by their DNA, they're God's people, that they are better than others because God chose them. So just because they're born out of a certain womb, they're better than somebody like you, right? Does that make sense?
No.
It doesn't, right? In Islam, we have a belief that everybody's equal. Me, you, him, black, white, Asian, doesn't matter. What matters is how you live, right? Just because you're a Muslim doesn't mean that that said you can do anything you want and every sin is just going to be thrown on somebody else. No, even though I'm a Muslim, I know I'm going to paradise, but I have to live a good life. I have to not sin. I have to be held accountable for my deeds. I believe as a Muslim that there is a day of judgment. Even if you murder somebody and you don't get caught in this world, on the day of judgment, Allah will ask you, Ryan, why'd you murder him? Right? So that makes sense, right? Right? So that parenting model, that religion makes sense. It hits you right here that, yeah, that makes sense. That there is a creator, but that doesn't mean that just because I believe in the creator, I can do whatever I want. No, I have to live a good life. Allah tells in the Quran, wal asr. Allah takes an oath by time. Innal insana lafi khusr. This is from the Quran itself. That mankind is in loss. You look at people, they're caught up in materialism, in self-indulging fetishes. You know, look at the world today. Illa alladina. Now who's going to be saved from that? Illa alladina amanu. You have to believe, right? You can't just be like, oh, I'm going to give charity just because I want to make myself feel better. No, I do it for Allah. I do it to help the poor. I don't just do it to show off, oh, look, this guy gave $1 million check. No, I do it for the right. I have iman, right? وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. See, that's not enough. Oh, I believe in Jesus, going to heaven. No. You need to do good deeds, right? وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ. And then you call people towards good. If you see somebody beating up an old lady, you say, hey, stop that. That's wrong. Don't do that. If you see somebody in need, you say, hey, let's go help them, right? وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. And then you call towards patience. When hardships come, you're patient and you call towards. So you see, that model makes sense, right? That's the kind of guidance you need in your life. That's what will improve you and make you a better version of who you are today. Make sense?
Yeah, I think my point of view is that, and on a morality perspective, I do agree that guidance is needed.
I agree.
It's very beneficial to the society in a whole and
a person individually. Yeah. Excellent, good.
But for the meaning of life, I think that's what we should do in our life that makes it meaningful.
Good.
Is it not down to the subjective experience and subjective thought rather than the objective?
I would say no, and let me explain how, right? When I ask you, Ryan, if somebody spends the rest of their life helping the poor and helping the needy and going out to third world countries where there's war and famine and helping them, do you feel that they have fulfilled their objective in life? Have they done something good with their life? I'm assuming you're going to say yes, right?
I mean, if that's what they planned and they have achieved it, I think yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But somebody else may think that what gives them satisfaction is to bankrupt countries and bankrupt people and take over areas and bomb the hell out of them, and they feel that makes them whole, right?
I think that touches on the morality part because we agreed on the morality part, right?
Right.
Those actions is violating what we agreed on, which is the morality.
Exactly. So when you're violating what we agreed on, then that can't be the purpose of life.
Yeah.
So how do we know the purpose of life? Allah gives us that in the Quran, right? Instead of us coming up with our own, we go back to our creator, the one who manufactured us, right? The one who designed us, the one who made us. He says, مَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I did not create the jinn, another creation, or mankind, except to worship me. Worshipping Allah is not just praying, right? But like I said, when you're giving to the needy, that's a worship, right? When you're helping your family, that's a worship. By living your life by that moral code that the Creator designed us for, that is fulfilling the purpose of your life, because that's what the Creator made us for. Let me give you an easier example, right? See if it makes sense to you. When they design and manufacture a car, what's the purpose of a car?
To drive.
To drive, to get you from one place to the other, right? If there's a car that has AI and it thinks that my purpose is to grow plants, right? It can think that, but that's not what it was made for. It will never function well under that, right? Its functionality is what its designer created it for.
Yes, I think that's the main part that I want to discuss.
Yes.
And I am not sure on.
Good.
Because I think that really resembles on what existentialism is saying.
Sure.
Is that, so like for a car that you mentioned, the designer designed it for
driving.
For driving, yes.
Good.
But just like What? How do I say it? Let me.
So for example, that car, if it drives itself or a driver drives it into the water, and it just sinks, right? Because it's not designed as a boat, right?
I think
So it may think that's its purpose, but it's not, and that's why it sinks. Like today in the world, people may think my purpose is just pleasing myself, and they start doing drugs, and they start smoking crack, and start doing heroin, and they destroy themselves, right? So that's because they're not fulfilling the purpose their creator designed them for. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
Good.
But what I think our main conflict is that you believe that before we are born, before
Yes.
we exist,
Yes.
we already have a functionality and a reason that's
Okay.
why we were born and created, right?
Yes.
And my point of view is that we first exist,
Okay.
and then we've given our meaning by ourselves,
Okay.
rather than
But who made us?
created.
There you
Because
go.
I don't have a religion myself.
No, I'm not
But,
talking about religion.
but-
I'm talking about your belief, Ryan.
Yeah.
Do you think you evolved from nothing?
Yeah. Well, let's say there's a God.
Okay.
Does it mean I agree on the morality code and the moral
Okay.
code?
But do you agree there is a God? Because that's an important
yeah,
step.
let's say there's a God.
Okay, if there is a God, then don't you think that God would know better what our purpose is than us?
yeah,
Right?
that-
because
yeah, that
because
makes sense.
that makes sense, right? So it's not an issue of debate of whether I figure out or you figure out. The issue is that once we agree that there is a God, that He did create us, and then when that God who created us tells us that before you were born, I already gave you a function, then it's not up for us to debate, right?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and
Yeah,
that's
good.
the reason why I can't believe there's a God.
Okay.
You see me? Because if we go on the route that we first based on there's a God, then
Okay.
that's the results that
I
you have
agree.
just said.
But we
that's
already
the
agreed earlier.
Yeah, but that's the reason why it, in turn, that makes me can't believe there's a God, because I believe the thing that.
But that's a problem, right? Because what you're doing is you're coming up with your own philosophy and then wanting to fit reality to it. But it's the opposite. Because if you don't believe there is a God, then the question would come back to, where'd you come from? Did you make the universe? Did you make this ozone layer? Did you make the functionality in your body? Did you make the white blood cells? Did you make your kidney? Did you make your liver? Did you make your heart? Did you make your brain? Did you make your DNA?
I
You
get what
didn't.
you mean, yeah.
So if there is a God, then we can't go back and say, I can't believe in a God. Then you have to say, okay, there is a God. Let me go find out what God wants from me. Make sense, Ryan?
Yeah, makes sense.
You ready to be Muslim, Ryan? You're there, man. You're there, right?
Can I take a picture?
Sure. But we're going to do your Shahada first, man.
What's the
You're
shahada?
Muslim. You said it makes sense, right?
Yeah. What's the shahada?
Shahada is your declaration of being a Muslim.
It's a testimony of faith.
Okay, we agreed there is a God, right?
Yeah.
If there is a God, and we'll take a picture for sure, don't worry, right? If there is a God, and we agreed there is now, that makes sense, then would you believe that anything other than the one true God should be worshipped? Right? If there is a God that we agreed to, that there is, should I go worship that, I don't know, that flag or that statue or that monkey there, right?
The problem is, okay, if there is a God,
Yeah.
I still can't decide which is the God.
I got you.
Because-
I told you we'll take you there, right? First, we've agreed that it does make sense there's a God. I don't want to go back to that, so we're good on that. Okay.
Let's agree on that.
Now the question is, who's the true God, right? So there's one idea that Jesus is God. A man who slept, ate, got tempted by the devil, that prayed to a God. Does it make sense that God would pray to a God?
Is it like Jesus is a part of God, right?
Okay,
In
so
Christianity,
think
right?
about it. If Jesus is a part of God, who was he praying to?
I don't know.
Yeah, a good question, right? If Jesus is a part of God, then as being a part of God, wouldn't he know everything? Yeah? And the Bible tells us Jesus didn't know the hour. Right? So that self-contradicts. That doesn't make sense. Right? Do you think God or a part of God should be killed for the sins of mankind? That doesn't make sense, right? Like you said, we should be accountable for our own actions. Right? So that concept of God doesn't make sense. Right? We good? Okay. Now there's another concept of God. Let's take Hinduism, right? That God becomes like a blue guy named Ram who becomes an Avatar and then can't defend his wife Sita, and then he becomes as Shiva, and then he comes back as another god, and then one of the gods kills another god, and then he makes a god out of the dirt of, or the female god makes a person out of the dirt of her body, and then he puts an elephant head on it and makes another god. Does that make sense?
I haven't read anything on
Right.
Hinduism. So.
I know, but I'm just saying the base concept of these multiple gods or God coming back in different forms, unable to do things that even a human can, like defend his wife Sita, would that kind of a thing make sense?
No.
It doesn't. Okay. In Islam, we believe there is one God. We don't say it's a man. We don't say it's a woman. We don't say it's a monkey. We say it's the one above, unimaginable, creator of the universe, right? One who gives you that guidance to know right from wrong, right? The one who brought you here today, the one that gave you life. We don't say that he looks like a purple guy or a guy on a cross. None of that nonsense. A belief in such a greater, higher power, which is nothing like him. لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ, right? That same God sent all the prophets. Because you look at all the messages, they were close. Abraham, Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, peace be upon him. Their message was close. So we believe that was the same God instead of there being separate. Does that make sense? That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
A God who sent a book like the Quran, which we're going to give you today, that a man named Muhammad who couldn't read or write, he was able to profess without even the ability, right? How can a man who can't read or write come such a beautiful book that nobody till today has been able to match it? Right? A man, and I'm going to give you a video on this if you haven't seen it, who in front of the people split the moon and made it come back together. Can a human do that without the power of God behind him?
No.
So that makes sense. That is the true God, right? Now you know which one. Let's do it. You ready?
No, I'm not ready.
Why not? Why not? What's keeping you back? Look, you went from not believing to believing there's a God. We went through every single idea of God, that basics, right? And you've come to the conclusion that the only one that makes sense is Islam. So what's stopping you?
Well, I mean,
Brothers and sisters,
I-
go off with this Prophet Ryan.
Go ahead.
I think there are still many questions in my
Like
head.
what?
That I can't construct right now.
Okay, so I'll tell you what, look, I'm a student of knowledge myself. I've been studying Islam since the mid-90s. Since 1995, I started taking my first Islamic class, right? You're gonna have questions. We got brothers with answers. We got scholars. If they don't know, we go to their scholars, right? No problem. But let's agree that there is a God, which we've already agreed to, and let's agree that that one Allah, the one God, nothing else should be worshipped except that one God. We agree on that?
Yeah.
Okay. And let's agree that that Allah sent prophets as guides. Moses, Jesus, Abraham, Muhammad, peace be upon them. These are servants and messengers of God. They're not gods themselves. Agreed?
I don't have the knowledge to answer that. Yeah,
No, no.
'cause
So let's talk about it, right? Do you think Muhammad, peace be upon him, was a god?
I don't know anything from.
You don't know about Muhammad, peace be upon him?
I know Muhammad, but
Okay.
I don't have like
No, but in your belief, Ryan, as we just went through this whole thing, would he fit the criteria of being God? Did he know everything? No, right? Can he do everything? No, right? God can. Did Jesus know everything? No. Can he do everything? No, except by the will of the Father, the God above, right? Did Moses know everything? No. Did Abraham know everything? No. So they're not gods, they're servants of God, but they did bring a message, right? They told the people, hey, don't worship idols, right? So you agreed those are messengers, not gods, right?
yeah.
That makes sense. So that is what makes you a Muslim. You testify saying, I bear witness that there is nothing that should be worshipped except one God above. And I bear witness that Muhammad, Jesus, Abraham, those are all servants and messengers of God. But that made sense to you already. Right?
Yeah.
So let's do it, bro. No time like the present. What would delaying it benefit? Like, what if you die tomorrow and you don't fulfill the purpose of your life, recognizing your Creator?
I think it's fundamental that I still can't accept the fact that my life was given a meaning before I exist.
Right, but
Rather than-
okay. So let's take it back to that. We're gonna clear that up, and then you're becoming Muslim. All right? If we clear that up.
Okay.
All right. So let's take it back to. We agree there is a God, right? And if there is a God, and that God tells you that I created you with functionality, right? I created you to recognize me and worship me. I created you for this system, life and death, to see which one of you does the best deeds. So when the God that created us is telling us why we were created, how can we doubt it? Let me
Because
give,
I don't think even there's a creator, it does mean that our presence is given a meaning.
Right.
I don't think that.
but if that creator
logic-
tells you it is, then see, it's not about what I think the creator should or shouldn't do or does not. It's like I'll give you an example, right? You have a phone. Is it Apple or Samsung?
Yeah, Apple.
Apple. No shout outs, no advertisement, not sponsored by Apple, right? Who designed Apple? The company, right?
I know you're what you're going to say.
All right, good. But take me through it anyway, right? Apple designed Apple, right? The company Apple, right? Steve Jobs to take it back and whatever scientists or engineers that he had, right? Now, if somebody gets an Apple and they say, we made this to be a phone. We made this for you to communicate, to have apps. That was the design. That's what the creator said. And you say, you know what? I don't think we can say that. I think this is whatever it wants to be. This is an ashtray. I put cigarettes out on it. That's the purpose of an Apple phone. But you're wrong. Because the one that designed it is telling you that's meant to be a phone. So our creator is telling you what the purpose of your life is.
Yeah, I think that's the difference between human and objects.
Good.
Isn't it? Because objects have functionality. For a chair, we sit on it.
And
for a
humans
car,
do
we
as
drive.
well, right? Like think about
I
this,
think
right?
that's the difference between objects and human is we give ourselves meaning, and
Right.
for humans we give other objects meanings as well.
So
And
now
that's the
now
difference,
think
right?
back to what you said, right? An object would not think that. If it had AI, it would not think that. But because you created that object, you gave it functionality, you said that object should do that,
Yeah, I agree on that.
right? Now let's take that up a notch, right? Now, as the object itself doesn't think that, but because you're the creator, you actually know better. You made that chair, so you know it should be a chair. If that chair developed AI and said, I don't want to be a chair, I'm a swimmer. But it's not. You made it, right? Now just take that up a notch, right? Meaning the creator that created us gave us objective, gave us functionality, gave us purpose, and then we as the chair say, no, I'm not a chair. I'm a swimming club, right? But that's our fault. That's why you got people walking around thinking, I'm a cat, right? We got people in America, furries. They think they're animals, but they're not. Like, they may have this idea, but the creator didn't make them a cat, right? You made the chair, so you know the functionality of the chair. The chair may not realize that, but that's why you give it that functionality. That's why you give a user manual. But Allah created you, and He gave you functionality. So now for you to be like, no, I'm gonna come with my own, isn't right. Not any more right than the chair thinking that it's not a chair, right? Now, when that creator that we already agreed is there, when that God is there, is telling you, Ryan, you were created for a purpose, and I'll tell you why I created you. And you know you didn't create yourself. So isn't it just logical that we say, okay, I submit, I'm a Muslim, I submit to my creator's purpose. That makes sense?
I think what you say is, so we went from the chair and a human level,
Right.
and then we moved it about.
Excellent.
Which now you consider human as the created object.
As a creation, exactly.
As a created object
Right.
of the God.
Exactly.
But we have ideas
Intelligence.
and intelligence, yes.
Okay.
And you then referred it to artificial intelligence of a chair,
Excellent.
and which I don't really agree on.
Why not?
But like, put this aside first. You mentioned about the spectrum earlier.
Okay.
Remember, like you said, some people think on a certain matter, like in the left-hand side, and some on a
Right.
opposite side of a
Right.
spectrum.
Right.
I don't see a problem of that.
Right.
Because you said the main purpose or the main objective is to have a divine meaning on certain
Okay.
things, right?
Sure.
And then you mentioned about murdering and
Right.
kind of
But
stuff,
but see, I'll tell you where the problem is on the spectrum, right?
Okay.
Let's say you're on the side of the spectrum that you think abortion is perfectly fine, even in the 9 months of pregnancy, for no reason, right? That's their right. It's her body, and the other spectrum believes that's murder, right? So now either this spectrum is going to want to kill abortion doctors, saying they're murderers, or that spectrum is going to kill these people saying you're murderers. You see, it's not okay because those both can't exist. And that's why in our society we see this.